I'm here at the Fantasy Friend Zone, about to record mock draft half PPR 12 team. This is Bryce, filling in for Brooke for a couple of these mock drafts. Pretty excited, first video on the channel. Let's get to it. So we got two RBs, two wide receivers, one flex, and we're going from the second position. So this is going to be early round or early position strategy for 12 team half PPR leagues. All right, so let's just get this started. Apologies for clicks being a little loud on the recording end. Mic's not doing too well right now, so I have to record using the internal mic from the computer. Just for preparing purposes, Fantasy Pros is usually a good site to use the draft simulation and let you get through a lot of drafts quickly, but you also just to get a feel for how you want your overall draft strategy to be, but you also want to do plenty of mock drafts on the website that is hosting your league, because the ADPs are going to vary from site to site. So this is number 2 pick. It's pretty easy. Saquon. Don't really have to worry about anything with this. All right. The first few rounds, we like to go for like pretty RB heavy. I've been finding that grabbing at least 3 RBs in the first 5 rounds is pretty ideal with how the drafts have been going this year and based on current 2020 ADPs. All right, so let's just go to draft board to see who went. Right before us, we have like Sanders, Drake, 2 tight ends, Aaron Jones, and Chris Godwin. Yeah, I think there should be plenty of value left up here. We got Austin Eckler. Definitely wouldn't mind having just high drafted players. And I think there's a major drop off after Austin Eckler, because we have at the receivers over here, we have Kenny Golladay, AR, Mike Evans, DJ, probably in order. Probably go Kenny Golladay, DJ Moore, Allen Robinson, or like the 3 draftable receivers, and one of them are going to have to come back to us with the next pick. So I think there's a major drop off from Austin Eckler to the next RB and Chris Carson. And even from there, I think there's quite a bit of a drop off with Chris Carson in kind of like his own, maybe James Conner too, and like kind of like their own middle tier. Then you go down to like David Johnson, Melvin Gordon, who else? Le'Veon Bell, Todd Gurley, etc. All right, so we got Austin Eckler, got like 2 solid RBs. Let's look at the roster right here. And yeah, we even have the opportunity to go 3 RBs right off the bat. And I do like to do this, but I think right here the better pick is to grab a good number 1 receiver. So we're going to go DJ Moore here. I just think he's going to have a great year with Teddy back there, QB. He's going to be much more capable of a quarterback than Kyle Allen and Will Grier and anybody else that was playing quarterback for the Panthers last year. Pretty bad. And the guy should easily have like 100 receptions this year. He has 100 reception, 105, 10 reception upside. Panthers are always going to be playing from behind, with like probably the worst defense in football. Actually, the Jags might also have the worst defense in football, with them just unloading their entire defense to just tank for this season. So between the 2 of them, but yeah, DJ Moore is a great pick for a wide receiver 1 in any type of half PPR or PPR format. All right, so here we have still only looking RB receiver. We don't really have to look at tight end or quarterback until it hits like at least like round 8 or 9. Running backs, not loving what we have right now. I think there's just like a lot of value at wide receiver here, and basically choosing between McLaurin, Chark, Metcalf, and Lockett. And I think they're kind of in a category of their own. It's kind of like a separate tier, but I realize that the best quarterback on these teams is definitely Russell Wilson. However, I think Terry McLaurin has the best chance of being a legit like tight end 1. I just think like what you see on film is really special. He runs like a 4-3. Cornerbacks have to give him a ton of space, and there's like no one else on Washington's crappy offense that is gonna like garner targets and volume. So McLaurin's great pick all day long, and not a fan of Mostert at all. Previous videos on this channel, we've seen that he's a must avoid. Kareem Hunt, don't mind taking him, but it does seem kind of early. He does offer a lot of upside, but I guess I'm just wondering if there are a lot of running back sleepers and good values in rounds like 7, 8, 9, and 10. And there's just so much value at the receiver position right now. And I think I'm just going to keep taking advantage of that. Chark, he had a great season last season. We can see here like 1,000 yards, 8 TDs. It'll be probably hard for him to keep up the TD mark on this poor of an offense. But he's the best receiver out of this receiving core. And him and Gardner obviously have some chemistry. And you saw it last season. Like he was kind of a go-to. And Chark was a huge breakout up until he injured his ankle late in the season. So love that as a pick in the 5th round. And now got 2 running backs, 3 receivers. Got to be trying to shore up this running back depth. And got to be honest, I haven't taken Cam Akers in a lot of mock drafts this offseason. But with the news of Darrell Henderson having like that hamstring injury and him like being held out of a lot of the off-season practices and not being able to work with the ones, it's really Cam Akers and nobody. No one's afraid of Malcolm Brown. He showed us in past years that he's not really a threat. I think Darrell Henderson was a great value up until he had this hamstring strain, but now that Darrell Henderson's got this little injury, I think Cam Akers is able to make himself more of the lead running back in this running back by committee. So David Montgomery's injury, that's just a shame. I think we're going to go Akers here. I think it's definitely between Akers and Ronald Jones, and perfectly okay with going to Akers. All right, and look at that. Ronald Jones is still on the board. It's basically between don't like drafting injured players. Before David Montgomery's injury, this would be an easy pick. Probably even in the 5th round, it would have been our pick. But we're not going to mess with that groin strain. Be actually pretty surprised if they didn't go out and get like a running back like Devontae Freeman, or probably more likely Leonard Fournette. So this is really just between Ronald Jones, J.K. Dobbins if you're really going for more upside. And that'd be plenty fair because we're getting later in the draft, and after like rounds 4 and 5, like you're aiming for that upside. And receivers a little out of the question right now. There are some good receivers out there. We're going to be releasing a Twitter video that talks about how Will Fuller and Brandon Cooks should be, at least one of them should be on your fantasy team. I mean, Deshaun Watson's got to throw to somebody. And, I think either one of those would be good value here. I think Marvin Jones is fine. Just a little frustrating to know when to play him. But I think Ronald Jones is the best pick here. Get a starting running back in what should be a pretty solid offense with Brady, Godwin, and Evans. Bruce Arians is showing a little more confidence in Ronald Jones this offseason. And honestly, DeAndre Swift would be an exciting pick, but he's been injured just for like so long. I guess not so long, but he's like still hasn't been practicing for like a week and a half now. And Ronald Jones, he had like a minor foot injury, but he's already back on the field. Shouldn't be a problem at all. All right, so liking where our team's looking right now, we got a lot of explosiveness and upside with our receivers. You got a pretty solid core and floor of running back depth. And right now we're looking at round 8. All right, so now we can take a peek at quarterback. I got Wentz, Drew Brees, Brady, Stafford. There's just so many quarterbacks that you can get here. I mean, you can easily win your league with like these guys in like this Fantasy Pros ranked tier 4. Like Gardner Minshew, Teddy, Joe Burrows, Jared Goff, any of those guys you can win your league with. When it comes down to it, quarterback position you can definitely wait on. I'd much rather add depth and add a chance of hitting late on one of these other running backs or receivers as opposed to trying to waste like an earlier round pick or even a middle round pick on a quarterback when you can just see like there's just the position's just too deep. So let's just move on. Running backs, receivers. Let's see. Moss has kind of been held out of practice with like a neck injury, but it seems to be pretty minor. Still love our receiver depth. I don't think we need too many more, even though I think Crowder, yeah, I mean, just not a huge fan of guys like somebody like Crowder just because I want somebody with a little more upside. I think players such as Nicole Hardman, Preston Williams, CeeDee Lamb, Anthony Miller, they just offer more upside. Not necessarily that they're going to get there and put up higher point totals than Jameson Crowder. Jameson Crowder should be there more consistent on a weekly basis with not a lot of targets, not a lot of huge, like, well-known targets over there in New York. But we already have 3 very solid receivers, so I don't really want some guy that that has no chance of really, like, bursting onto the scene. But to be honest, I think I'm still leaning running back. And I think the pick here, even though he's, like, out with a little, like, neck soreness, or Buffalo's just been raving about him. The coaches love him. I'm going with Zach Moss here. The dude is going to be, according to reports from coaches, staff, beat reporters, etc., he's going to be getting goal line work. He's going to be getting catches. He's going to be getting receptions. Those are the 2 most important touches that you can get in football, in fantasy football. They're just the most valuable. So I think that's fairly easy pick. That was, round 8? End of round 8? Yeah, love it. Now we're moving into round 9. We already got 5 running backs, 3 receivers. We can take a peek at tight end. This is where things get tough. You can do one of 2 strategies here. I mean, if you're a fan of Higbee, go for it. This is pretty good value for him, to be completely fair. It's not somebody that I'm going to have on almost any of my teams. I think that Hayden Hurst just walks into one of the most perfect situations in football. If I am taking a tight end here, I'm probably going Hayden Hurst. But I always find that when I'm taking a tight end right here, I end up not loving. I feel like you miss out on a lot of running back or wide receiver depth. And there's still there's so many tight ends this year. The position's so deep. Like, you're going to tell me that you're going to be unhappy with having Noah Fant or Hawkinson or Jonnu Smith or Gesicki coming out of the draft. You even have like Herndon and Blake Jarwin that are like major sleepers this upcoming year, and I'd be happy with any of those guys being like my starting tight end. And if you're like nervous about any one of those guys, just pick up a second one. It's not a huge deal. You can easily stream the position, but if you really want to be secure about your tight ends and you're waiting on them, just draft a second one. How awesome would it be to pair like Jarwin and Herndon? You just play the matchups. That'd be awesome. Okay. So, yeah, if you go Hayden Hurst or Tyler Higbee here, won't hate you for it. Hayden Hurst is probably like my favorite tight end coming off the board. Just hard for me to pick him right here in the 9th when we have guys like Damian Harris, Anthony Miller, Preston Williams. Yeah, 9th round. This is a tough one. All right, let's just fire though. It's giving away all of our favorite picks here. I still love the wide receivers that we have, and we can easily take like Deshaun Jackson in like 2 more rounds. So I don't think we need that much more depth at the receiver position. All right, this is between Chase Edmonds, Damian Harris, Antonio Gibson. Don't really love the Antonio Gibson thing. Still not sure. It's just still going to be a very poor offense. I understand what all the hype's about. People comparing him to CMC, but he just hasn't had a lot of production. Even in college, like he just didn't touch the ball that much. You can say it's a positive because it's like, oh well, he doesn't have a lot of wear and tear, but there's also just not a lot of a proven track record. Darrell Henderson would be a good pick if he wasn't injured. In terms of Armstead, this becomes a very interesting pick because it's like who runs this backfield now to Jacksonville? And I'm not sure if this is the guy. This is going to be one of the worst teams in football. If anything, you probably want pass catching back. So I think I'd wait and grab like Chris Thompson in the next round if I do go another receiver or another running back. Sorry. I think this is just Damien Harris. It's just Damien Harris. I don't see the reason for drafting a guy like Tevin Coleman. Like there's no real breakout potential there. Like we've seen him go for like stretches, but they just go with the hot hand. And there's so many running backs there. You got Coleman, you got McKinnon, you got Mostert. It just seems like they're all going to eat into each other's production. And if you're going for like a running back by committee, if you're trying to pick a running back in one of those committees, then there either has to be like an injury to one of them in order for you to be picking one of the first ones, aka why we picked Cam Akers, or you want to be going for better value later in the draft. And I think the best value is McKinnon, especially if there's any type of PPR setting in your league. All right, we're in the 10th round. Still plenty of quarterbacks. So many quarterbacks left. We easily still wait on that position. We're pretty loaded up at the running back. We got like 6. Oh man, yeah, love the running backs. We got Saquon and Austin Eckler, and then we got just a ton of upside with Akers, Ronald Jones, Zach Moss, Damien Harris. Not worried about the running backs at all. This point, got the receivers. Let's take a look at tight end again. Oh man, Hayden Hurst is still there. Okay, this is easy. This is a very simple pick. He just shouldn't be there. Yeah, if Hayden Hurst is available in like your 10th round or end of 9th round, man, that's very hard to not take him right there. Unfortunately, it seems like people are getting on the Hayden Hurst hype train, and he's been going in like rounds. I was in a draft today. He went in round 7. I mean, I love me some Hayden Hurst for this year on that Falcons passing game. Just like the most pass-friendly offense in football for the past couple years, but 7th round, that's way too high. All right. Let's see, running back, receiver. Yeah, I mean, we got plenty of running back options. Wasn't so deep at running back right now. I'd probably be taking Tony Pollard, Chase Edmonds, but I think I'm going to go with like potential breakout. If Jalen Reagor wasn't diagnosed with like that injury, it's going to keep him out a couple weeks. I mean, he's a great sleeper, but now all of that value just goes straight to Deshaun Jackson. Fortunately, he's not on the board anymore. Somebody that I've been talking up, or we've been talking up at this channel, Nicole Hardman. We're going to go with this draft pick. Got plenty of QBs left. And there's a reason why Sammy Watkins is taking less money. He knows that he's having a lesser role. I mean, what would happen if Tyreek even tweaks that hammy again? A hammy that he's already having problems with. Yes, he's like a younger receiver. It's not like he's like 32 or 33 or anything. But, I mean, if he happens to go down with a hamstring injury, we're talking about Nicole Hardman possibly being the top receiver on this offense. I'm not afraid of Sammy Watkins eating into Nicole Hardman production. Nicole Hardman is going to be the second best wide receiver on this offense, and Sammy Watkins is not going to eat into his production. It's not. I can't say that he'll eat into his production, but if Tyreek were to go down, Nicole Hardman all of a sudden becomes like a wide receiver 2 easy. Definite flyer pick though. Nothing guaranteed with that pick. Wow, just so many quarterbacks still. There's still just no need. All of these are like, well, at least these 3. Yeah, there's no need to do this. Let's just keep adding, just keep stacking that depth. Still got Raquel Armstead in the 12th round. I don't mind it at all. So Chris Thompson. Which one offers more upside? You know what? I think this situation is a bit different than most running back by committee situations. Usually, the pass catching back does not offer the most upside. Like if we're talking about in the past, Jordan Howard versus and like Tariq Cohen. Jordan Howard in like those past Bears teams would offer the more upside because he is getting more volume and he's getting goal line touches. Tariq Cohen is not getting that much volume in the running game. He's mostly just getting catches out of the backfield. And you're just getting more volume out of a guy like Jordan Howard, like in 2017, 2018. So he would have a higher ceiling. But he wasn't being as efficient all the time. So Tariq Cohen was honestly like a nice surprise for some of those years. And that's the case like a lot of the time. But right now, what we're looking at is Raquel Armstead not even guaranteed to be getting first and second down work. And Chris Thompson, who, oh my gosh, like he just struggles to stay on the field all the time. All the time. He cannot stay healthy. But when he is on the field, this dude is a beast. So I am perfectly okay with this pick. I mean, Fournette's not there to catch balls, so this is Chris Thompson's reception heaven at this point. All right, now we really only have 3 picks left, and quarterback's one of the last ones. It's between Brady, Big Ben, Cam, and Goff. Wow. I don't really like taking Ben because his home away splits are pretty terrible. Beast at home, on the road, not playable. Brady and Cam, it's kind of funny that there are 2 of the guys left. I think this is basically Cam's job. I don't think, I'm a much bigger fan of taking Cam or Jared Goff as opposed to Big Ben or Brady in this situation. I just think that they offer much more upside. I mean, let's not forget that Goff was, where he was in the Super Bowl a couple years. He was like in the MVP conversation. I don't know. There's no guarantees about Ben Roethlisberger's health. Brady, you never want to question the GOAT, but you have a feeling that they might not be airing it out as much as fantasy owners would love, even though he is in a very, very friendly offense. Makes things very tough. There's just such a high fantasy floor when it comes to rushing quarterbacks, and there is no reason for the Patriots to hold back on Cam Newton's production or his rushing usage. So I think we're just going Cam here. All right. Sweet. A couple injuries to some key players for the Patriots. A lot of people not coming back. It's going to be an interesting year for the Patriots. Very new look without Brady and with Cam at the helm. And now we got like our last 2 picks. Don't really care too much. Defense strategies, just to know what the beginning schedule is like for the defense that you select. You want them to have easy matchups for their first 2, 3, 4 weeks. We don't care about season long what their strength of schedule is. We care about those first couple weeks because then you can just stream the position. Because at this point, most of the great defenses are taken, and great has to have quotations around it because it's such a difficult defensive production is very difficult to predict, and that's why you shouldn't be wasting early draft capital or middle of the round draft capital on defenses and special teams. So let's see. That doesn't really matter. Just pick the Saints. You know how to do the homework. You guys got this. And then kicker. Who cares? I'll go with Robbie Gould, just because Robbie Gould's really cool and he has his own fantasy work on which kickers people should be drafting, and I think that's awesome. All right, so that's how our draft went. I think we got a pretty solid team. We're really deep at running back. This grade does not really matter. This is just accumulation of projected points. Doesn't mean anything. There's so many times, you should never care what the site that you draft on grades you at. Yahoo, ESPN, I think Yahoo gives out like a draft grade, and can't tell you the amount of times that given like a C minus or like a B minus or even like a D in a draft and come out like going 13-1 in the league. Like they just don't know how you're constructing your team. They don't really know what's best for you constructing a team, and there's no way for them to know that you're going to be like conducting trades in the season. So if you're stacking depth at a position that you're trying to hit a lot of upside on, aka what we do all the time with the running back, then a lot of the sites don't record that information very well and process that stuff. So I think this is overall just like a really solid team. We got to wait on tight end and quarterback, but we got two guys that have like very high. I mean, Cam Newton, amazing floor with the Pats, plenty of upside being a rushing quarterback. They're not going to hold him back. Hayden Hurst, all the upside in the world. We saw what Austin Hooper did last year. I don't think Austin Hooper is like any like special guy. Browns signed him, whoop-de-doo, like another bad signing by the Browns. Receivers, we are chilling at the receiver position. It's probably the easiest position to get like streamers on or just find like a flyer on anyways. So we don't have to be too deep at that position, especially when we got like a three-headed dragon with like DJ Moore, McLaurin, and Shark. And obviously at running back, we're just like deep as hell. And we got Saquon and Austin Eckler to head that. It's perfect. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Give us a like, subscribe, comment if you enjoyed it, and comment on what you would like to see for other mock drafts and other videos. Yeah. Good luck to you guys in your drafts, and see you guys next time.